Hello and welcome to day 4 of Uniko's January 2025 release product introductions. We've had a wonderful week so far introducing a variety of products. This release certainly packs a punch. Today I am back with 2 more products to introduce to you. I will get to the cards shortly. I'm delighted to be adding another ink and flip stencil to the collection. I've been wanting to add a flower for quite a while now. So I'm excited to bring a flower. Again, it's a 2 stencil version, and if you've been around Uniko for a while, you might recognise this flower. It's actually from Flower Power 8, and I'll get to showing you shortly the similarities. And then the second product is Simply Said Blocks Occasions. Now, I was making in October, I brought out a ink and flip stencil that is designed to look like a cobweb, and I didn't have any Halloween sentiments, so this is where this stamp set was stemmed from. I was looking through and I realised that I didn't have many occasion sentiments in at all, really. There are a few dotted about, but the blocks is one of my favourites and go-tos for sentiments on cards, and I realised I didn't have any occasions, so that's where this one came from. I've kept it separate, so you've got Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Wedding Day, Graduation Day, Earth Day, Remembrance Day, Anniversary, Engagement. You've got Easter as well. But then if you pair it with the previous, so this is Simply Said Blocks, which is the original one, and it has happy in it. So you can do Happy Halloween, Happy Graduation, Happy Easter, Happy Valentine's Day. So there's lots of mix and match opportunities, and these are obviously the other ones. You've got Simply Said Blocks 2 and Simply Said Blocks 3. So there's lots of opportunities, and then also we have the Christmas version. So yeah, that's where this one stemmed from. So they are the 2 products. Now, these are the cards that I have shared on the blog today. This first one uses the main focal point of the ink and flip stencil, and I've created a Mother's Day card. So I used the happy from Simply Said Blocks, and I've just added lots of dimension, and this stencil is so easy to use, just like the other ink and flips. But I'll be getting to showing you that shortly. Now, I mentioned before that this is Flower Power 8. Now, a while ago, I brought out the Flower Power 8 stencil, and as you can see, it's a large. What I did is I expanded the tiny flower out of the stamp set, and I made it huge for the stencil version. And I had a play about. I knew I wanted to do a flower, and I remembered using this Flower Power 8 stencil and doing a rainbow card, and it's glittered, and I had to literally mask off every section and made it rainbow. So I was having some difficulties designing a flower in the ink and flip format. And then I got to thinking, well, can I alter one of the flower powers to be an ink and flip? And that's where this one was born. And as you can see, I've shrunk it down so you can pair both of them together, and that was purpose. I did that on purpose so you can use both together, which I have done on this card. So I used Flower Power 8 on the background and a lovely buttercup yellow, and then on a separate piece of card I've inked one side with honeysuckle and marmalade to give a bit of an orange tone to some areas, and then when I flipped I did yellow and orange, so it's not completely two separate colours like I've done on this card here. I think I've used marmalade and dragon fruit from Concord and 9th. So that's how these two pair about and how it came to be. And then my last card that's on the blog today is this one, where I've just done a trio of the flowers and added the happy birthday sentiment from Simply Said Blocks 1, because we always need some birthday cards on hand. So I'm going to demonstrate the ink and flip, and I'm going to use a rainbow colour theme again. We need rainbow, we need colour in the Northern Hemisphere at the moment while we're in the depths of winter. And I'm going to show you how you can use both together to make a 1-layer card. So as usual, I've cut my card. I'm working on my usual size, which is 10.5 by 14 centimeters, and I'm just going to mark the middle again, though I haven't actually marked the middle of my stencil at the moment. I don't know why I haven't done the middle on the stencil yet, but so I will do that just now. I'm sure I've got a Sharpie. I have, just in my pen pot here. And like I've said before, it works out at 7.1, I believe. And we'll see if that is true. So I'm just lining. Oh no. This one's a little bit bigger, so this works out at 14.4, so I'm going to do it at 7.2 on this edge, and then I'm just going to turn it. I'm not going to do all the edges, so what I've done here, I've just lined up the inside of this. I might have to do it on this edge actually. It'll be easier. Now this is just if you want to centralize your flower on your card. There are no rules to say that you have to do that. I just find it helpful when I do this. So I'm going to just flip this around. I'm just deciding which position I want the point of the flower at the top today. So I'm just lining up my 2 points where I have marked it with the Sharpie, and I'm just going to secure my stencil in place. So I'm going to do a rainbow version again. As I said, I love colour and we need some brightness. The sun is already started to go down. It moves around the front of our house, so my office often looks a little bit darker, so I apologise for that. So I'm just marking it down here, and then I've got together my rainbow colour of inks, and like before, because I'm you're gonna miss a colour, so I've got honeysuckle, marmalade, poppy, buttercup, oceanside and sprout. So I'm going to start with pink, the honeysuckle, before I go to the red, but I'm going to miss the red out and do that on the second side. I know I get a bit boring because I stick with the same colours, but the results are just so pretty, I think. But I often choose just 2 colours, and then you get a nice little overlap. I've done my colours a little bit darker today than I did the other day when introducing ink and flip gems. So we've got 2 ink and flips being released this month. They'll be available on the website Sunday the 5th of January at 9 AM Greenwich Mean Time. These ink and flips that come with 2 stencils are £8. They come in the pack together. So I'm just going in with the orange now. Then I'm going to mist the yellow, and I'm going to go in with the green. Again, I only need 6 colours for this one because there's only 3 shapes on each side of this stencil. So this one is a fairly easy one to flip again. The design is quite easy to work out the shape. So this is Sprout. I probably should have done it the other way, but never mind. We'll see. So when you reveal, you've got half. So you're just going to peel it off. Just move my tape. Then you need a damp cloth. I just use one of these microfiber cloths just to wipe it over, and you want to make sure your stencil's dry. Normally I have a tea towel, but again I still haven't brought a fresh one back in the studio, so my jeans will have to do instead. So then you just want to double check where you had the stencil the first time round. So we had it that way, and then you're just going to literally flip it over. So this one's fairly easy to line up. You can line up the petals of the flowers in the gap, and then you can also use your marks on the stencil to make sure that they are lined up as well. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go in and just add the colours, infill the colours of the rainbow to complete it, and that will complete your background. So in this section here I'm going to use red, so poppy red. I'm just going to grab the big pad because I believe the smaller one is getting a little bit dry. And then I'm just going to ink over. So you'll see here that some of the colours overlap and some of the colours don't. It was just purely how my mind designed this background. And you'll find that on some of the ink and flips, there's some that overlap a lot on each section, and then there's some that isn't. It just depends on the design and how my non-mathematical brain works it out. It sounds like a really easy concept sometimes to do, and then other times it's more complicated than that when I'm coming to think of getting the flip and getting some of the colours to overlap. And then I'm going to fill in with the buttercup here. That will overlap some of the orange and the green. and you just keep going until you're happy with the blend. So it's nice to use colour. I have my go-tos, as you know. And then I'm going to use the last one here, which is Oceanside, and just go over. It goes over the green, but then butts it up to the pink. It doesn't overlap as such. It will overlap slightly if you haven't lined up properly, but this stencil, layering the two together is quite forgiving. You'll see that there is a nice border when you come to lay the flower down. So you can leave it like this. It'd be a little bit trickier to fussy cut out if you wanted to do a shaker card or a 2-depth card, but it's not as complicated as some of the designs. So you could do a shaker card, you could just add a sentiment, you can all sorts you could do really, pairing it up. But I'm going to show you how to use both layers together to create a 1-layer card. So as you can see, I haven't marked this stencil, but there's one petal top and bottom and one sort of along the middle here. I'll show you on this flower here, so you can see where the two colours butt up. It sort of like cuts in half because of the number of petals and the flip, so it makes it quite easy sort of to line up. And I'm just sort of eyeballing that with the centre point here and the centre point of the petal at the top. And as you can see, there's quite a thick border around the edge of this one, which makes it quite fun, I think. It's different from the other ones. And where's my tape? So I forgot to take my tape off this one. Usually I try to use use it as much as I can before it loses its stickiness. This one, it's super sticky, so I put it on my hand to take some of the stick off, and then it loses its stick quite quickly after that. So like the other day, I am going to do the flower just in a couple of shades of grey, just for something a little bit different. Normally I choose a colour, but I'm doing like the reverse. So I've picked a couple of greys. There are some lovely greys in Concord and 9th inks, which I do love, but I also love these greys from Alt New. They're quite soft and they're really good with having 4 colours in a collection. Makes it really useful for layering, and if you want that ombre effect, it takes all the thinking out of it for you, because they've put the colours in sets of 4. So I've just picked 2 light shades, but I think they're from different collections, I believe. Oh no, they are from the same collection. I ummed and ahed about picking 2 light shades from 2 different collections, but then I changed my mind, obviously, and stuck to the same one. So I've gone over quite lightly there. You probably didn't really see much as I was ink blending, because the stencil hides the white card. So I'm just going over. And you don't have to be very heavy when you're applying your ink either. You can do it quite lightly. So again, I'm just going to check. I had it this way, and just like before, you're literally just going to flip it from side to side, And then these petals in the middle do line up, so they butt up next to each other. And then another way of telling if you've got it in the right position is I'm looking at the gap, the thickness of this line here that runs along the edge of the petals. It is quite a forgiving design. But it's quite fun to have. I like the continuity of products. I like being able to get more out of a product that has been in your stash maybe for, I can't remember when Flower Power came out, Flower Power 8. It's been a couple of years at least since I brought out the flower in the stamp set and then enlarged it for the stencil. And just by bringing in another product, I think just breathes new life into previous products that I've done. So that's another reason why I like reusing designs that I've already done and just putting that extra spin on things, I suppose, just to breathe new life into it all. So I hope you like it as much as I do. If you want some more inspiration, obviously we have the brand ambassador blog hop today, using this stencil and the Simply Said blocks occasions. But this stencil is also featured in an upcoming issue of Simply Cards and Papercrafts. I can't remember the issue off the top of my head, but I will try and link to it. If I can't link to it, because it's not available in the shops till the 9th, but I think if you're subscribed you get it a little bit earlier. But I'll list the issue. So this flower and the gem are featured in the magazine this month, so that's super exciting as well. And there you have it. That is both paired together to create a lovely card, and then you could go ahead and add a sentiment. I'll probably add, let's have a look, what should we add? I've done Mother's Day, I've done Easter, I'm trying to think. I'd probably add Happy Wedding Day, maybe, I don't know, or Happy Anniversary. Let's do Happy Anniversary for this one. And I'm actually going to stamp the sentiment in grey ink. Now usually I go for black for sentiments. I do like them to stand out and be quite bold, but because I've used a grey for the flower, I'm going to use a grey for the sentiment. Now, as you know, I like to use the Versa Fine Clear ink. Now, I always keep the neutral colours quite close by. I only have a few of them. So I have the black, the Morning Mist, and this Portobello, which is sort of a greeny brown. It's a brown, but it's got a greeny tint to it. It's quite nice for neutral. But I'm going to use, I do have other colours, but for sentiment wise, I tend to keep these out close by to me. So I'm going to use Morning Mist. And hopefully things won't smudge. I've not had much luck recently. See, this card is quite slippy, and it just moved a little bit. So what I'll do, if that happens, is I reach for my trusty, should be next to me, small stamping platform. So that if this ever happens to you, like it does me, grab your stamping platform. I think it's just a bump in my grid paper. So I'm just going to gently hold it down, and then I can do both together. So I'm going to do happy anniversary. I don't know with anyone having an anniversary, but I'm sure something might pop up. Or I'll just use it as a sample at an upcoming show. My first show of 2025 is in February. It's at York Racecourse here in the northeast. I think it's Stamporama. It's either Stamporama or Craftorama. Fabulous shows. I loved the venue last year. It was my first time doing it last year, but it is a lovely venue, and that's a lot better. So these are classed as pigment inks, so they do dry a little bit slower, but this one is a little bit quicker than the old VersaFine inks. But just be careful if you're handling it straight away to fussy cut out like I am. Really, I should have used another grey out of the Alt New collection, but I do find that even though I took time to, when designing the Simply Said blocks, because I've used other brands in the past, I took time to make the font, the word that the font is written in, I made it thicker, so that when you ink, that the ink doesn't seep into the sentiment and smudge it. Because I've had some brands in the past that the sentiment is quite fine, that when you ink it, the ink seeps in to the gaps and you sort of get not a very clear impression. So obviously this is the reverse. So yeah, I took the time for that, but then I do find that some brands of ink, it still happens. But one that I find doesn't happen with is the VersaFine or the VersaFine Clair. They do stamp really crisply, and I use them a lot for sort of outline and sentiment stamping. We were having this discussion, there was a discussion on one of the Facebook groups I'm in about the best blacks to use, and the VersaFine ones and the VersaFine Clair come up top trumps, but they do, as I say, dry a little bit slower than some other brands, but they do give really crisp results. So I'm just being careful to only sort of hold along the edges. And then I'm going to use a little bit of foam adhesive. I like my foam adhesive. This is just 1mm thick. I get mine from Hobbycraft here in the UK. They do various thicknesses. I know they do 1mm, 2mm is like the standard, and then there is 3mm, I believe, that's obviously thicker. I just find this useful. I don't know, especially if you're layering sort of like foam adhesive, like I'll often layer up again. So having the 1mm squares is quite useful if you've put something on top and you need it just that little bit higher in one section maybe. So I'm just going to pop it in the middle, so I know that the P is roughly the center. And we'll do the same for the anniversary. Hopefully this hasn't smudged, putting it on its back. No, it's fine. And then I'm just eyeballing it, making sure it's roughly in the center, like so. I find these smaller sentiments as well doesn't cover up too much of the background either. You can still see a lot of the flower. It's not hidden away too much, because we don't want to hide that beautiful flower too much. And let's have a look, see what colour enamel dots. I'm not sure what I've got left. We'll have some cobblestone, I think. No, actually, yeah, cobblestone. They sort of fit in. I need to replenish my white and pebble ones, which are the lighter colour. I've been using a lot of rhinestones recently for that extra little bit of bling, but we'll use some the enamel dots for this one today. And again, I like to tuck one just under this corner. I have favourite spots for adding my enamel dots and rhinestones. Sometimes I go up with this second one, sometimes I go down, depending on sort of the design below. And then I'm just going to tuck one in on this corner of this petal here and leave it as that. And that is how easy ink and flip flower is. And yeah, I'm super excited to have a flower in the collection, and just think you can use it all year round just by changing up the colours and things, changing up the sentiments, the design team, even the media that you use through the stencil, you know, using paste, embossing through it. There's so many options, but thank you again for joining me today for this video. I hope you're enjoying all the inspiration so far. I'd love it if you'd like and subscribe, even tell your friends about Uniko's YouTube channel. One of my goals this year for Uniko is to grow here in the UK and across the world, and let people know about my products. Especially these ink and flips are quite unique. No one else has designed any so far. No one's nicked my concept yet. So thank you again, and I'll see you again. We have one more product to introduce you to tomorrow before release day. So I hope you will join me again then. And bye for now.